Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Friday, guys. Want to say hey to all my subscribers new as well this season. Got a word for you. Tap in. So guys, I'm sure you looked at the topic and was like, okay, what your girl got going on, right? Okay. So I got a few various things I want to talk about. I want to have some fun. 95% of my recordings, of course, are always spiritual, deep, things like that. But I tell you guys, like, there's another side to me. I'm not walking around, you know, deep 24 hours a day. I'm actually truly a clown. Like, seriously, like, hence, my favorite show is Impractical Jokers and Nick Canning Wildin' Out, right? So there's about 5 recordings that I got up that's more that lighter side that you guys absolutely love, right? So I figure it's Friday, so I'll pull a fun light recording for this morning. All right, so a couple of things. Someone wanted to know if I get hit on by chicks. Am I a chick magnet? A guy messaged me, and he addressed the fact that on one of the recordings with Mr. Steve, I told Mr. Steve I had a man. Going to talk about that. And someone else wanted me to talk about my pros and cons, my turn on, turn offs when it comes down to men. All right, so let's chat. First thing, am I a chick magnet? All caps, yes. I get hit on by chicks all the time. In fact, ironically, it happened yesterday now that we're having this conversation. So I was inside a clothing store, and there was this beautiful girl. She came up to me. She was in the store first, and she came up to me, and she brought this outfit. So whatever side of the store she was on, she must have found this outfit. She thought the outfit would look beautiful on me, so she came and handed me the outfit. Like, oh, I just think, this will look amazing on you. I saw you walk in, your walk, your body, your hips, your this. I just think this will look amazing on you. And so she handed me the outfit and smiled. So me and my ignorance, right? Because I'm not even like, tap in at this point. I'm just trying to shop. And so I said, well, thank you. Thank you for thinking about me, right? And the outfit really was cute. I would have considered it while I was in my buggy. But then like 10 minutes later, she came back and asked for my number, like flirting wise. And I'm just like, girl, sis, you done sit here and waste my time bringing me an outfit and you really trying to like get at your girl like that? Really? Okay. Ain't nothing happening, sis. You're cute though, but ain't nothing happening. But yeah, I'm hit on by females all the time. But I will say this right here. Personally, I feel like when you're very secure within your sexuality, like even when someone of the same, and this is for men as well, my opinion, even when someone hit on you from the same sex, it's just like, listen, I'm flattered, but I'm just not into men or women. But some people get like really, really over the top. I don't know, but I'll leave that one alone. But yeah, I'm definitely a chick magnet. But honey, ain't nothing happening. What's the second question? Oh, Mr. Steve. Okay, so a guy had emailed me and said that his little heart was broken. Oh, please, whatever. But his heart was broken because he heard on one of the recordings that I told Steve that I have a man. Okay, now let me be clear about something here. He is one of the guys who have been asking me for quite some time about my, and I wouldn't answer. I'm just like, tell me how it will affect your life, and I won't answer you. So I'm going to also talk about why I don't really speak a lot on that, other than, of course, the importance of being private. But I want to speak about that as well. Let me say this, bro. I'm so tapped in when I make my recordings that I will never say something and almost be like, oops, I didn't meant to say that. right? I'm too tapped in for that. So it's not like I say, okay, I'm never going to say if I'm married or have a man per se, and all of a sudden I said to Steve, well, I have a man. No, 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 no. I'm too tapped in for that. And if I caught myself slipping like that, I would have just deleted the record. But I did that intentionally. Here's why. Because again, every assignment is is different. And so it's important, again, to let the Holy Spirit guide you on how to deal with each assignment. Well, with Steve, I could be single mingle. With Steve, I have to tell him I have a man. Right? So that was intentional. Because if I with him, if I don't stress that, right, he's over the top. And so I have to be sure that I get the assignment completed. So I told him that from the very first time I saw him. I tell him that every single day. I think I'm going to go ahead and let him know I'm married. Maybe that'll really, really let him know. Ain't nothing happening, Mr. Steve. Absolutely nothing is happening, Mr. Steve. Nothing. The last thing anyway he should be worried about is a woman. He got stage 4 cancer. He got to get this addiction under control, his alcoholism under control. Child, a woman is the last thing you need to be worried about right now. So I don't pay Mr. Steve no attention, but I do have to let him know that I have a man. Because if not, he's going to call my phone and then I have to block him. And then it's a whole charade. It's a whole zoo up over here. It's a whole zoo up. My life is a zoo. You guys don't understand. I guess it's an organized zoo. So no, I didn't slip up. So I'm still not going to answer you. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes. What was the other question? Well, I'll go ahead and speak on that. Okay, so first and foremost, again, the number one reason why I don't speak on if I'm married, if I'm spoken for, if I'm this, or I'm that, is one, again, the importance of being private, not secret, but private. I'm very overprotective over anything in my life, right? People, places, things. I'm very, very overprotected and guarded in the sense of anything that God has brought into my life. You have to be very, 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 very careful by allowing outside forces, energies, all that stuff, people into your personal life. I speak on this a lot. This is why a lot of people go through warfare in certain areas, because you're just bringing too much people into your life. I feel like this. If you need to know, you would know, right? Meaning anybody in my life who, if I am married, if I am spoken for, if I'm engaged or whatever, it's like, you would have to know, because I would have to tell you for a particular reason. But for outside people, I mean, how would that affect your life? Not you per se, but in general. And I ask people this all the time, and I said, well, tell me how it affect your life, and I'll answer you. And then I also said, well, let me ask you a question. If I tell you I'm married, would you still holler? 100% of the times is yes. So just holler. If it doesn't matter, then why am I answering that question? I'm often told I'm very mysterious, but again, that's intentional. Next, other than just the importance of being private, and again, I have always been, you could ask anybody who I went to school with, like I'm talking about all the way back to like elementary, middle school, right? I just always been a very private person. Also, again, the majority of the times I'm called to men in different ways. So when you're called to the opposite sex at times, it can be very tricky. And this is why it's very important to stay connected and let the Holy Spirit guide you on each assignment. Each assignment is completely different. Well, with Mr. Steve, I have to tell him I have a man. Even if I don't have one, I have to tell him that. Where someone else is the complete opposite. I can be engaged. Well, I can have a man, and I have to pull back from even releasing that too quickly. Why? Because there has been times, and actually several times, many times, where the guy's initial thought process is he want to holler, right? He want to get at your girl, right? He want to shoot the shot, right? But the minute I see him, The minute we meet or connect or even have that first conversation, the download is heavy in my spirit that this is an assignment. Now, mind you, every assignment is different. Like I stated, it's not like some assignments are going to be 2 and 3 weeks long and months. Some assignments can be a word, a direction, a scripture, a this. And so every assignment is different. So with some guys, what I found personally, that when they feel like they don't have a chance, they're not going to stick around. So let me see how I can put it into perspective. Let's take a celebrity, for example. Let's take a high profile, well, just a celebrity, okay, who's in high demand. Let's take, who can we think about right quick? Let's take, oh my goodness, I can't think of anybody right now. Let's say Idris Elba. Fine. He's married now. Okay, so how many women were really checking for Idris? Is it Idris or Idris? I can never pronounce his name. Like, how many women? Like, he was like the talk of everybody's mouth. What happened the minute he got married? Like, you barely even, I mean, of course he's still around. Of course he's still talented, but that hype kind of went down. So a lot of times what happens in that, and I'm not saying I'm a celebrity, I'm trying to make a point here. A lot of times when people think that they don't have a chance, they don't support you, they fall off. So God is strategic. At least in my life he is. He's very strategic. So it's almost like, no, pull back from this, right? Don't say this. Let them think what they want to think. If they think them, they're coming to holler. But I'm about to have you release a word that's going to spin their heads. And it may be a couple of weeks. So don't say that too quickly. Because they may run off because they don't, quote unquote, have a chance. And truth of the matter is, it's never even about having a chance. It's about God being strategic to get your butt here to get this word. If that makes sense. That happens, all caps, a lot. So that's why I always say things like, I promise you, it does not like swell my head, because this person, I'm so disconnected from that flattery, right? I'm always complimentary. Thank you. I receive it. I'm grateful. But I'm so disconnected from that swelling your head. Listen. So that's another reason why I do that, because I want to be careful that I'm not potentially running off an assignment because they may feel like they don't, quote unquote, have a chance, that type of thing. Have I ever had to cut off an assignment because it became a little too, yes. In fact, not even maybe 8-9 months ago. I won't really get into what the assignment was about or whatever the case may be, but the person just became a little too aggressive in a sense. Almost like it started off very, very spiritual, and without a doubt, it was an assignment. Without a doubt, on both ends, without a doubt, it was an assignment. But again, with me, I keep things very separate. But with this individual, it's almost like if he had to contact me, and if I wasn't able to answer, it almost became like, you my man type of thing. Like, why aren't you answering your phone? Ho. Why am I not answering my phone? Are you my man? Right? So let me have this conversation with you, right? I mean, I didn't say it like that, but let me have this conversation with you so I can get back to the footing of what's really going on here in the direction that God wants this thing to go. But now the phone calls are coming in at certain times of night. No. And now it's turning into, well, let's go to, no, 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 no. So again, you keep bringing it back in. You bring it back in. You bring it back in. The person who has the footing, which is the person being used, you bring it back in. And then at some point, when the person does not respect the boundaries, after God gives you certain downloads on how to put the boundaries in place, and then the person keeps like overstepping those boundaries, then for me, I'll speak for myself, I'll get a conviction like, boom, assignment is up. Because if God is giving me the downloads on certain things, the other person is getting some downloads too. Like, listen, you're out of pocket, right? Listen, why do you guys message me? And I laugh so hard. I didn't even catch it in the recording because a lot of times I don't listen back to the recordings. But in one of the recordings, Mr. Steve had said something about, yeah, in the beginning, I was out of pocket, and then you had put me back in the pocket. Oh, my goodness. When I went back and listened to that, I was crying and laughing. But either which way, yeah. So that person should have gotten some convictions as well, because this person was definitely connected spiritually. So I'm sure they got some conviction at some point, like, hey, listen, you tripping right now. You tripping right now, and this girl is not giving you anything to even make you think that she's interested in you at all. You're tripping right now. But again, what happens is when you're being used, you're opening people up, especially people who are going through heartbreak. And this, in fact, was that situation. This person was dealing with a narcissist. So this person was going through a heartbreak. And so even though this person is venting to you, right? Of course, they're venting and expressing themselves. Then, of course, in turn, when you're pouring back things from the spirit into them, it's almost like you're relieving them. Like, woo, you just soothed my soul. And mind you, when someone's dealing with a narcissist or even just a bad breakup or marriage that has been toxic, your self-esteem is to the floor, right? So now your self-esteem is to the floor, but now you got someone over here who's telling you you're wonderful, you're everything, you're this, you're that. So now you're taking an empty person and you're filling them up. You're giving them hope when they're full of despair, right? So they then tend to feel like, oh my God, I love you. Child, you do not love me. Let's get back to this word. Right? So it's not even the person's fault. Because most times they can't even, when you're broken, you're broken. When you're broken, you're broken. So there's a lot of different emotions that goes on and come into play. So regardless if there's an attraction there from whoever side, I mean, really, I don't think, I can't say there won't be one on the person who's being used side. I mean, because I know I had an assignment, honey. That thing was fine. Whoo! This was some years ago. Honey, I had to pray and fast every night, but I got that assignment done. But, regardless of whoever have an attraction, whoever have the footing, meaning who's ever being used, it is your job and your responsibility to be sure you are planted, connected, and obedient. Regardless of what you're feeling, regardless of what your flesh is saying, honey, you better be connected, because the one thing you don't want to do is mess up an assignment. Because, honey, okay, you might don't get one for a long time. Lastly, so yeah, that's why I do that. Again, just being private. Next, sometimes I have to be very strategic depending on the assignment. And, I don't feel it's people's business. Even though they ask me 1,000 times, even in the comment sections. Pros and cons, turn-ons, turn-offs. I will start with turn-offs. A very, very jealous, insecure guy. That's a huge turn-off for me. Definitely because, again, I am called to mostly men, and that requires me to move a certain type of way, right? So that jealousy factor can kind of kick in, especially if that person is an attractive person. Not so much if it's the person, but if it's an attractive person, then definitely. But at the end of the day, again, trust is the foundation of everything, right? So a very jealous person, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. Also, with a very insecure person, first of all, that's coming from a place. That's coming from a place. They may have been hurt prior. It could be childhood wounds, whatever. A very insecure person also tends to be a very clingy person. And I can't deal with overly clingy people, right? I'm a person who I think better and I connect better in solitude. So there's going to be times that I have to kind of pull away, like not just pull away, but kind of I need to be in my space, in my own zone. And a clingy person or an insecure person can take that as, oh, well, you must be cheating. No, but child, nobody even thinking about that, first of all, right? I don't even want you right now, right? But only a few people will be able to understand that, right? The people who are called and chosen, and you know that, there's times you just got to be solo, right? And again, that doesn't mean you shut the person out, but you're just really not in that overly clingy mood 24/7. Oh, God. So I have to ask for grace for that when it comes down to overly clingy people. I have to ask God to help me understand it, because a lot of times it's also about trying to understand their perspective. Were they that middle child? Not saying that all middle childs are neglected, but where is this coming from? Did somebody hurt you this bad? So, okay, what can I do to help you feel more secure in this relationship without you clinging on to my ankle 24/7, right? Because you're going to annoy me. I'm naturally an introvert, so work with your girl here. Okay. So that's a turn off. Funny, someone said this. I forgot. I'm going to plug this in really quickly. One of you guys heard when I had a petty moment and I was saying that I don't have like this laundry list of things, but I look at shoes. And one of you guys here, I think it might have been Dr. J, or one of you guys was just saying that's your thing too. Like shoes. I was taught that. So I guess that's conditioning. I was taught that. My mother taught us very early on that a man's shoes will tell you a lot about his life. And if I'm honest, I think, at least in my life, I've seen that to be true in some sense. Let me get off that, because I don't want to offend somebody who might have on some dirty, bent up shoes, honey. Right? Okay, honey. Your shoes are fine. Your shoes are fine. I'm the problem over here. I'm just the petty one. All right. So, insecure. Some Buster Brown shoes. What else am I turned off about? This is a headache. I won't say it's more of a turn off, but it just grinds my gears, and we're going to have some issues. I know all caps, some men were taught not to really express their emotions, right? But one thing that turns me off, or sets me off, I should say, is if you're acting funny and I don't know what I done, right? Because I may have done something and you may even have perceived it wrong, or maybe I just didn't, because sometimes I move and I'm not really tapped in, and I'm just moving, and then it may have offended you, but you won't express it. And so now I'm getting the cold shoulder, right? You're acting funny, and I'm trying to figure out why. And it's just nothing. Well, obviously your actions are showing it's something, nothing. Oh my God. Let's go pray. Because I'm about to lay some hands up on you. So that, a lack of communication. Even if you give me, because I'm so connected, if you give me a little bit of something, if you just give me a hint of what or just tell me what it is, then instantly my spirit will go back and show me what it was, and I will apologize, or at least we can sit down and communicate about it. But if I have nothing to go on, and you're just acting really funny and just, some men, emotions are beautiful. I know maybe your father, maybe your teacher, maybe your uncles, whoever told you that men don't show emotions, men don't express themselves, and maybe it's just also innate with men. I don't know, but expressing your emotions are so beautiful and so very important. Okay, so that's that. I think that's it. Again, just very insecure, not expressing their emotions. Buster Brown, Buster Brown shoes. What else turns me off? Something coming to me, and I'll plug it back in. All right, turn ons. Woo, woo, child. Several. A man that smells good. Oh, oh. You know that kind that they can get off an elevator and you get on, and you go back to the floor they were on because you got to follow it. Listen. A man that smells good. And I know there are massive amounts of colognes out here that smells great. My favorite of all times happened to be Chrome Legend. The first one, like in that square bottle. I think it's a Azzaro or something like that. I love Baccarat. Actually, I have Baccarat because that's a unisex Baccarat. Listen. So a man that smells great. I also like a man who can switch up his dressing game. Meaning, he is sharp in his suit, right? Some good cufflinks, some nice, Alan Edmonds or some Tom Ford, whatever. But then on the flip side, on a nice casual day, he can switch it up and have on some nice jeans and maybe some nice peanut. Speaking of that, I was about to say some nice peanut butter brown casual sneakers. But speaking of that, that's a huge, listen, you guys ever saw like a guy that had on like some peanut butter brown shoes and then the belt is like also peanut butter brown? Oh, woo, honey. Okay, something about that peanut butter brown and that fresh line up. Oh, that too. Fresh lineups. Ladies, you already know, like the day barbershop days, that fresh line up, major turn on. Kizzy, please stop being so vain and get into some men who communicate well, men who are very respectful, men who are patient. That should have been the first thing I said for me. A patient man. It takes a patient man with me. I promise you. If you do not have patience, please do not apply. Please do not apply. You're going to need some patience with me, right? Because obviously I'm a live wire, and I'm just kind of, right? But if you say something to me, it's almost like a conviction, like when I'm being convicted by a spirit. So sometimes I'm moving and I'm this and I'm that and and I might be a little too bubbly or over a little too friendly, and you're just like, listen, get it together. I'll get it together. But it takes a patient man with me. Truly, 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 truly. I'm going to say this, and listen, guys, please don't get offended, because I promise you it's not a need. It's more of, again, what I won't even say prefer, but I like mature men, right? Young guys, I like you too. I promise you I do. Here's why I'm going to say this, because I've met some young guys, like guys even like early 20s, right? Who you can tell they were raised really well. Like sometimes they may have been raised like by grandparents or just like a really, really good, strong, traditional home. So they're very mature. Where I've met some guys who may have been mature, right? 40s, 50s, and so on, and still act like they're 20. So that's why I won't say prefer, because it just really depends. But I like mature men. I like a good mature man. Oh, you know what else I like? I had to sit up for that. Beards. Woo! I know a lot of people, I had to jump up just now. I love beards. I know a lot of women are kind of turned off from beards. I don't know why. I love beards. Ooh. Oh. Child, I just had a moment. I love beards. And when it's like really like healthy and like, ooh. in full. I love beers. All right. I'm still being vain here. And I'm not even the vain girl. I'm not the girl that have like the list of he has to look this way. He has to be this height. He has to have this amount of money. Well, speaking of money, right? Okay, he don't have to be no rich person, right? I'm obviously not rich, but he needs to have some financial stability, right? So we can get rich together, wealthy, I should say, wealthy together, right? And understand, again, everybody wasn't raised that way, ladies. So this is why I always say, too, is not that certain, I won't say what to put on your list, right? But I feel like if God brings somebody into your life, and see, you may be judgmental because maybe you had the parents who sat you down and taught you the importance of financial literacy, where maybe the guy, I mean, he has intentions and he wants to be, but he just never had that foundation and don't know where to start. So God may use you, right? You can't do it for him, but my point is you help him, right? Assist him, not like, I'm sure you get my drift here, but that's important, because listen, nobody got time to be sitting here fighting over, life is already stressful. And now we're fighting over finances every day, and we can't figure out how these bills are going to get paid. So I think that is very important. A solid financial foundation. Oh, how did I miss this? It should have been number one. Number two, patience, still number one. A man who is patient. Number two, a man who loves his mama. Ooh, not a mama's boy per se. Because I know a lot of women say a mama's boy can turn her up. I don't mind mama's boys. Long as, I don't know, I guess maybe as long as it's not really transferring over in our household per se. But I don't mind. I love a man who loves his mama. Like, to me, if he loves his mama and he loves his daughters, like, he's going to treat you well. Or I don't know. I love a man who loves his mama. Truly, I do. You know, I dated this guy some years ago. And I won't get into maybe why, because that's not proper, but sometimes his mom will come on dates with us. And I know some, like, that wasn't even like really her thing, but it's almost like he wanted to always include her, because it's like he wanted it. I know a lot of women are like, no, heck no. But truly, because I'm so tapped in, I knew why he was doing it. And I received it well. I thought it was beautiful. Truly. Just drop her home off a certain time, because we got, Ooh, child. What else? Let me see. Smell good, some nice shoes, peanut butter brown loafers and belts, love his mama, financially, at least some type of foundation. Oh my God. Lord, forgive me. Forgive me, Lord, because they should have been number one, Lord. Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and drop patience back down to number two. Number one, he got to know the Lord. God, please forgive me. Kizzy, where is your mind, girl? He got to know the Lord. Point blank, period. Now, hear me. I'm not saying he got to be sanctified, holy, because obviously your girl over here ain't, right? But when I say know the Lord, that means he fears God, right? He has a relationship with God. He may have some struggles, and that's okay. We all do, right? He may not be all the way there yet, because that's okay. Most of us aren't. But he knows God, and he has a relationship with God, and he fears God. Also, he's already in his purpose. God, please forgive me. That's number one. Point blank, period. Number one. Point blank, period. Number two is patience. Because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. You better know the Lord. You better know the Lord to have some patience with me. Number two. Next, I love a man who makes me laugh like a clown, right? But he knows how to turn it off. Because some guys now, they're clowns even in serious moments. Now, that's a turn off for me. But I love a guy who knows how to turn off the serious mode and then just have fun. Because I'm that girl. I'm serious when I need to be serious, but I'd rather just laugh and be a fool. Like, seriously. Like, be a fool. um, so guys who makes me laugh, and he has that comedic side. I like a guy who I like a very confident guy. There's something about a confident guy. Like, you could have 20,000 dudes after you, honey, but he not worried about that nonsense. He's like, yeah, go ahead, sweat my girl. Psh, she come home to me. That type of thing, right? A confident guy. Am I missing? I should have written some of this stuff down. I think I have. Oh, I love a man who can cook. I think a man who can cook is so sexy. I find that to be very sexy, personally. And that's not a requirement, but I do think a guy who can cook, I find that to be very, very sexy. And I think that may be it. I don't know. I think that may be it. Oh, lastly, a guy who allows me to be me, meaning he's not trying to change me. Again, I know I'm a handful. God just made me to be a handful, right? And people tend to think that I don't know how I want to word what I want to say, but he allows me to be me. He's fine with me. He's okay with me. Again, when it comes down to relationships, definitely marriages, you have to polish and get some things in order, right, per se, but that's not changing your entire identity. Now, that's a turnoff for me, right? That you met me a certain way and now you want me to be the librarian. Honey, you were not attracted to the librarian. You were attracted to this. You're not all this, right? Now, again, sitting down, have a meeting of the minds, polishing certain areas and making sure everybody's on the same accord, that's amazing and needed, truly. But when people are trying to change your identity as a whole, that's a problem. In fact, it's a deal breaker for me because I've allowed that once and I lost myself. Again, if you ever lose yourself, you will never if you ever lose yourself, once you find yourself, you will never, ever lose yourself again. Ever. So that is a huge deal breaker for me if someone's trying to pull me from my purpose and calling, because I'm quote unquote sometimes have to be called to men and they're trying to change my identity. Well, you get too much attention. Well, too many guys. Well, listen. If I can block these fools out, you can block these fools. These children of God out, you can block them out too. Right? Either you want to trust me or you're not. Period. So guys, I think that's it. If I think of anything else, I will plug it in. Lastly, I want to say this really quickly. I know I look like, I guess if you will, like a woman who was like, how can I word this? Like maybe like a material girl, meaning like into like a lot of expensive things and money and stuff like that. I'm really not that girl. I promise you. If anybody really knows me, right? Again, I know most of you don't know me. Now, I'm very aware that I look like that. I'm sure people think like, "Ooh, I can't afford her." I'm really not that girl. I'm really frugal. Is it frugal? Frugal. Believe it or not, I'm really the girl who I won't say rather go to an expensive sit-down restaurant because I think that's important to do that, right? But I'm also the girl who will be fine with, listen, let's go sit down at McDonald's and take us some, well, shut up, Kizzy, right? Let's go sit down at McDonald's and have some Coke, right? So I'm the girl who would like, listen, let's go sit in the park while it's raining with an umbrella, one of the big beach umbrellas, and we just sit on this wet not bar stool. I just told myself about McDonald's. Sit on this bench and let's just vibe. I'm really a simple girl. I really am. I'm very simple. I promise you guys. Again, anybody who knows me knows that about me. I'm very simple. I'm very down to earth. So I like a guy who can really switch it up. Like, let's go to this 5-star, such and such, and have a great time, and you put on our nice clothes, and then listen, let's just chill. Let's just Netflix and chill. I'm that girl. Very versatile. You guys have a great one. Have a great weekend. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.